Everything you've been told about reality is a lie. And deep down, you already know it. You've felt it, that unshakable sense that something is missing, that the world around you isn't quite what it seems. You go through life playing the roles expected of you, following the script you were handed since birth. Yet a quiet voice inside whispers that there's something more. Maybe it started as a restless feeling, an unexplained dissatisfaction. Maybe life hit you with a crisis that shattered everything you thought was real. Either way, once it begins, there's no turning back. Spiritual awakening is not a single moment of enlightenment. It is a process, a journey, a transformation that unfolds in stages. And what no one tells you is that this journey is not easy. It will shake you to your core. It will break you before it rebuilds you. But when you emerge on the other side, you will never look at life the same way again. This is the last video you'll ever need on the 12 stages of awakening, because once you understand them, you'll know exactly where you are on the path and what comes next. At first, everything seems normal. You wake up, go through your routine, talk to the same people, think the same thoughts. Life moves forward just as it always has. But then, something changes. Maybe it's a moment so small that no one else would notice it. A strange feeling, a sudden realization, an unshakable sense that something isn't right. Or maybe it's something bigger, a crisis that rips away the comfort of certainty. A job loss, a breakup, the death of a loved one. Whatever it is, it cracks something deep inside you. And suddenly, the world doesn't look the same. You start questioning things you once accepted without hesitation. Society, religion, history, even your own identity. All of it feels off. The rules you live by now seem arbitrary. The beliefs you were taught no longer sit right. Conversations with friends and family feel shallow, scripted, as if everyone is sleepwalking through life while you're standing there, wide awake, seeing the cracks no one else seems to notice. The more you pull at the thread, the more everything unravels. You realize that much of what you believed was never truly yours. It was handed to you, conditioned into you. The education system didn't teach you how to think, only what to think. Religion told you what to believe, but never to question why. The news didn't inform you, it programmed you. The more you open your eyes, the more the illusion crumbles. You try to talk about it, but no one understands. You're met with blank stares, resistance, or worse, dismissal. You're overthinking it. That's just the way life is. Stop questioning everything. But you can't stop, because now you see the illusion for what it is. And once the illusion cracks, there is no going back. Some truths are too raw for YouTube. That's why we reveal the deeper, hidden layers inside Insights Academy, our free newsletter. For a limited time, you'll receive the Kybalion ebook when you sign up. Go to the link in the description and enter your email before this disappears. And just like that, the ground beneath your feet begins to shift. The things that once brought you comfort no longer feel real. The places where you used to find meaning now feel hollow. The world you knew is slipping away, and a terrifying thought creeps in. If this was all an illusion, then who am I, really? This is where most people panic. They grasp for something solid, something familiar, anything that will let them feel stable again. Some force themselves back into the illusion, pretending they never saw the cracks. Others drown themselves in distractions, work, entertainment, relationships, substances, anything to avoid facing the void. But for those who choose to keep going, the journey only gets darker. Because when the illusion breaks, the old self begins to die, and that death is not gentle. There is a point in every awakening where the light disappears. The illusions that once held your world together have shattered, but in their place, there is nothing. No certainty, no meaning, no direction, just emptiness. This is the dark night of the soul, the phase that few talk about, the part of awakening that no one wants to go through, but no one can avoid. You feel lost, disconnected from everything and everyone. The things that once excited you now seem pointless. Conversations feel forced. Relationships begin to crumble. You look around and realize that the people in your life, friends, family, co-workers, are still caught in the illusion, still playing the roles society assigned to them. And you? You feel like an outsider in your own world, a stranger to the life you once lived. Then comes the suffering. The mind spirals into existential dread. Who am I? What is the point of any of this? If everything I believed was a lie, then what is real? The fear creeps in, whispering that you've gone too far, that you should turn back, that maybe ignorance really was bliss. But it's too late for that. You can't unsee what you've seen. The only way out is through. At this stage, everything that no longer serves you begins to collapse. Old identities, relationships, jobs, beliefs, they start to disintegrate. And it hurts. It feels like dying because, in a way, it is. The ego, the false self, the version of you that was built on conditioning and expectations, is breaking apart. And the ego does not die quietly. It clings, it resists, it fights back, desperate to hold on to control. This is why so many people give up. They numb the pain, run back to the old life, convince themselves they were just overthinking everything. They seek comfort in distractions, mindless scrolling, toxic relationships, endless consumption, anything to avoid the void. But for those who choose to keep going, who choose to sit with the discomfort, something miraculous begins to happen. Because in the silence, in the loneliness, in the suffering, the real you begins to emerge. You start to feel a shift, a tiny glimmer of light in the darkness, a whisper of something deeper, something ancient, something that has been waiting for you all along. This is the beginning of true self-discovery. The moment when you realize that what is dying is not you, but everything you were never meant to be. This is the great purge, the destruction before rebirth. And while it may feel like the end, it is only the beginning. Because once the false self has crumbled, the search for truth begins. And that search will take you places you never imagined. The darkness has passed, but you are not the same. You have been stripped of everything you thought you were, your old beliefs, your old identity, your old attachments. Now, there is only one thing left, the burning need to find the truth. This is the beginning of the seeker's path, the stage where the hunger for knowledge takes over. You start looking for answers everywhere. Books that once seemed irrelevant suddenly feel like hidden treasures. You dive into ancient texts, spiritual teachings, philosophy, quantum physics, psychology, esoteric wisdom, anything that can help you make sense of what's happening. You begin to see connections everywhere, pieces of a puzzle you didn't even know you were trying to solve. But the more you learn, the more you realize how much has been hidden from you. Society never taught you how to think, only what to think. Religion told you to follow, but never to explore. Education gave you facts, but never wisdom. The deeper you dig, the clearer it becomes. The truth was never meant to be easy to find. Synchronicities start happening, too many to ignore. You think of something, and the answer appears. The right book falls into your hands at the perfect moment. A stranger says exactly what you needed to hear. Coincidences no longer feel like accidents. It's as if something unseen is guiding you, as if the universe itself is responding to your search. This is when you begin to understand that truth isn't just intellectual, it's experiential. It's not about memorizing spiritual concepts, it's about living them. You start meditating, practicing mindfulness, exploring different ways to connect with something beyond the material world. Some days, it feels like you're uncovering the secrets of existence. Other days, it feels like you're losing your mind. And then, another painful realization strikes. Not everyone wants to know the truth. You try to share what you're discovering, but most people don't care. Some even push back, dismissing you as weird, lost, or delusional. You begin to see how deeply asleep the world really is, how most people are content to live within their illusions, never questioning, never seeking. You feel the loneliness creep in again, but this time, it's different. This time you understand that solitude is part of the journey. Not everyone is meant to wake up in this lifetime, and that's okay. Because for the first time, you are no longer seeking approval. You are no longer looking for validation. You are only seeking truth. And that is when everything shifts. Because as you go deeper, you come face to face with the greatest illusion of all, the illusion of self. The next phase of your awakening is not about learning more. It's about unlearning everything. You are about to confront the ego, to see it for what it really is. And when you do, nothing will ever be the same again. Something feels different. The more you seek, the more you strip away everything you once thought you were. The identity you spent a lifetime building, your name, your achievements, your beliefs, your personality, it no longer feels solid. It feels temporary, artificial, a collection of labels assigned to you by the world, not something that truly belongs to you. This is the beginning of ego death, the most unsettling and liberating stage of awakening. At first, the mind fights back. It clings to the old self, the familiar, the safe. It whispers doubts. Who will you be without me? You need me. You can't exist without your story. But deep down, you know the truth. The ego is not you. It never was. It was only a mask, a role, a collection of programming handed to you by society, shaped by experiences, reinforced by external validation. And now that mask is falling apart. It starts with an overwhelming sense of detachment. You no longer feel as emotionally reactive as you once did. Things that used to offend you, define you, or trigger you no longer hold power over you. The opinions of others feel distant. The need to prove yourself disappears. You realize that most of life's suffering was caused by attachment to an identity that was never real. This is terrifying for the ego. It panics, resists, and tries to pull you back into the illusion. It wants to keep playing the game, to keep chasing validation, status, importance. And so it tempts you with fear. What if you lose yourself completely? What if you disappear? But then something unexpected happens. A profound peace settles in. For the first time, you feel weightless, free from the constant mental chatter, free from the pressure to be someone, free from the exhausting need to control everything. And in this space of stillness, a realization dawns. You are not your thoughts. You are not your past. You are not even the voice inside your head. You are something deeper, something infinite. The ego was never you. It was just a character you played in this experience called life. And now that you see through it, you are free to choose who you truly want to be. But this freedom comes with a price. Because once the ego loosens its grip, something else awakens, something ancient, something powerful, something the system never wanted you to access. Your intuition. And when it starts speaking, you will never follow the external world again, because now, the real guidance comes from within. Something within you has shifted. You no longer look outside yourself for answers, because now, something deeper is speaking to you. Your intuition has awakened. At first it feels subtle, a quiet knowing, a gut feeling, a strange certainty about things you can't explain. You start noticing patterns, synchronicities that seem too precise to be coincidences. You think of someone, and they call. You see repeating numbers everywhere. 1111, 333, 777. You randomly pick up a book or watch a video, and it contains exactly the message you needed at that moment. But this isn't randomness. This is your inner guidance system activating, something that has always been there but was buried under layers of doubt, logic, and external conditioning. For the first time, you trust yourself more than the outside world. You begin to sense things before they happen. You walk into a room and immediately feel the energy, knowing whether it is heavy or light, peaceful or chaotic. You start reading between the lines in conversations. People say one thing, but you can feel what they really mean. The illusion of words no longer deceives you. And then, something even deeper begins to unfold. You start experiencing reality differently. You feel an unseen force guiding you, not as an external entity, but as a knowing inside of you. The coincidences intensify, as if life itself is speaking directly to you. The separation between you and the universe starts to dissolve, and you understand that you were never truly alone. This is where you begin trusting the flow. You stop forcing things. You stop over-analyzing. You stop questioning whether you're making the right decisions, because now you feel it. The need for control fades, because you finally understand life is not happening to you, it is happening through you. But with this power comes a realization. The entire world is built on suppressing intuition. Since childhood, you were taught to ignore your gut feelings, to listen to authority instead of your own inner voice, to trust science over experience, logic over knowing, society over self. Every system, education, religion, media, was designed to pull you away from your own truth and make you dependent on external sources for guidance. And now you see through it. Once you reclaim your intuition, you become impossible to control. You don't fall for manipulation because you feel the energy behind people's words. You don't need validation because you already know your path. You don't fear the unknown because you trust the unseen. But this level of awakening makes you a threat. People around you won't understand. They will call you crazy, irrational, unrealistic, because your way of seeing the world does not fit inside their program. And this is where the final chains of fear must be broken. Because the deeper you awaken, the less you will be controlled by anything or anyone. Something profound has happened. The fear that once controlled your every decision, the fear of judgment, failure, rejection, the unknown, it's losing its grip. And as it fades, you begin to realize something shocking. Fear was the only thing keeping you trapped in the illusion. Think about it. Fear kept you chasing approval instead of living authentically. Fear made you obey rules you never agreed to, just to fit into a world that was never designed for your freedom. Fear convinced you to stay small, to be quiet, to follow paths that never felt right. Every system, every structure, every belief that has ever controlled you did so through one thing, fear. And now you are breaking free. For the first time, you no longer care about what people think. Their opinions, their expectations, their judgments, none of it matters anymore. You see how deeply asleep the world is, how most people live in a constant state of unconscious fear, and you refuse to be one of them. This is where true liberation begins. You stop obeying out of guilt. You stop apologizing for who you are. You stop explaining yourself to people who will never understand. Because now, you see the truth. You were never meant to fit in. You were meant to wake up. And when fear no longer controls you, something incredible happens. You start making decisions based on intuition, not anxiety. You trust your own path, even when it doesn't make logical sense. You stop waiting for permission, stop hesitating, stop second-guessing yourself. Life becomes an open canvas, and for the first time, you are the one holding the brush. This is the point where people around you start noticing something different. They can't quite explain it, but they feel it. You carry yourself differently. You radiate a quiet confidence, a presence that isn't loud but is undeniably powerful. You are no longer playing by the old rules, and that makes people uncomfortable. Some will admire you, some will resent you, and some will try to pull you back down. Because the truth is, when you step out of fear, you become a mirror for those still trapped in it. Your freedom reminds them of their own self-imposed chains. Your courage exposes their excuses. Your transformation forces them to confront a question they've been avoiding their whole lives. Why am I still asleep? And this is where the final test appears. Will you shrink yourself back down to make others comfortable? Or will you keep expanding, no matter who you leave behind? Because the deeper you go, the more you will realize fear was never real to begin with. It was an illusion, a shadow, a false barrier designed to keep you from discovering your power. And now that you see it for what it is, there is only one path left. Surrender, not in defeat, but in complete trust. Because once you release fear, life begins to move through you in ways you never imagined. Miracles happen. Doors open effortlessly. The struggle ends because you are no longer resisting the flow. This is the final step before full awakening. Not controlling, not forcing, just being. And when you finally surrender, the universe responds in ways that will leave you in awe. You have let go of fear. You have stopped chasing validation, stopped clinging to old beliefs, stopped resisting what life is trying to show you. And now, something incredible happens. You are free. Not the kind of freedom the world sells you. Not the illusion of freedom that comes with money, status, or power. This is something entirely different. A kind of freedom that cannot be given or taken away, because it was always yours. You wake up each day without the weight of expectation, without the need to prove anything to anyone, without the endless inner battle between who you are and who the world told you to be. The search is over. The seeking has ended, because now you remember. You were never lost. You were never broken. You were only asleep. And now that you are awake, you see reality for what it truly is. A dream, a projection, a reflection of your own consciousness. You are no longer bound by the mind, by identity, by the external world. The need to control dissolves because you understand you were never separate from the universe to begin with. Life does not happen to you. It happens through you. The external world is no longer something you fear, fight, or try to fix. You move through it like a silent observer, fully present, fully aware. This is liberation. At this stage, nothing can pull you back into the illusion. Not fear, not society, not even your own mind. You have transcended the old game, the false reality built on limitations and control. You exist in a state of deep peace, presence, and knowing. You no longer need to force or struggle, because everything flows effortlessly. You trust. You surrender. You let life unfold exactly as it is meant to. And yet, this is not the end, because awakening never ends. The deeper you go, the more you discover. The more you surrender, the more life reveals itself. Every moment, every breath, every experience is an unfolding, a remembering of what you have always been. And while most people will go their entire lives without ever waking up, you now stand on the other side. The illusion has fallen away. The dream is clear. The chains are broken. So now the only question left is, what will you do with this freedom? Because most people stop before reaching this level of awakening. But inside Insights Academy, we go even deeper, revealing what's too raw to share here. Sign up now and get the Kybalion ebook for free. This knowledge will shift everything. Go to the link in the description before it's gone. You are not just a body, not just a mind, not even just a soul. You are consciousness itself, awakening to its infinite nature. If this video resonated with you, let us know by commenting, "I understood it."